So, why were there so many women drawn to Jesus Christ? Well, if you can imagine what it was like back then and also how it is now in some religions and some groups and organizations, women were made to do what they were told. Their father would say, you've got to marry this person. The mother would go along with it. So can you imagine? There's no adventure. There's no hope for a life of your own. It's horrendous. Also for the men, because the men are programmed in a certain way that is what a woman's for. So when you have a mother that condones this ongoing behavior, even though she can see the harm it's doing to some women, and then you've got the father who implements what he believes is God's law. That's why people were dying. That's why people are dying now. That's why people are addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography, unhealthy sexual behaviors. Every single behavior that harms us and harms humanity comes from emotional injuries that are done to us by others that are not connected to God. And when we're young, we hear about God's love, and you're desperate for God's love. So what do you do when you're confused, lost, outcast? You look for love in all places. And sometimes you feel that love. And then other times you don't, and it's horrendous and horrific. But women and men have both been traumatized and have been manipulated by unloving laws and ideas and ideologies. And this is the manifestation of people generationally not having God's love within them, not accessing God's love within them, ignoring their soul and going with the majority and going with what religion has gone with. Mary of Magdala is the one that Jesus Christ knew embodied his love. And so knew how to share that love. And that love connects you to God. Because once that love is seeded inside of you, it grows. And then you think, where does the root of that love come from? Where did that come from? Where did that person, Jesus Christ, who put that seed of love in me, where did that come from? Where did his source have come from? Where did the kingdom of heaven come from within him? It came directly from God. And when you have God's love within you, you do not want to harm anybody. You certainly want to stop others from harming other people. Because there are some people that do not ever want to connect with God's love. And they are happy when they're harming others. I'll repeat what I said in another video. Wickedness never was happiness and never will be. I am a witness to that. I have witnessed it. I have been a part of it. For a few years, I watched pornography. Hardcore pornography. Then, I've been abused, accused over and over and over again since I was a little girl, and I lashed back. It's not easy being yourself, because I realize myself throughout life, there's so many times I wasn't connected to God's love. So it's not easy saying I was like this, I was jealous, I was possessive. I've been with people that are extremely jealous and possessive. Because all emotional injuries come from a lack of God's love within us. Well, God's love is always within us. If we have a belief system that God is a certain way, and we use our own ideas about what God is, we will harm ourselves and others. When we look at the example of Jesus Christ, that is God's love manifest in a human being. And look what he did. There are many times in my life that I thought I was going to die. Many times. Through smoking cannabis for 19 years, smoking tobacco since I was 11 on and off. Sometimes for 10 months I'd drink alcohol. I'd drink 2 big bottles of vodka every day. I went down to the cheapest cider you could buy. I've been suicidal. I've took massive overdose. I've been to 2 rehabs. And you know, each time I was completely myself and totally honest. And when I say completely myself, that is not myself. Myself is when I have God's love in me. When I access God's love, that is myself. Anything that I've done whilst not having God's love in me is not my true self, nor is it yours. I came out as gay at 22, nearly 23. And I thought, wow, this is it. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Searching for love in all these women, and then sometimes wishing I was with a man because it was so emotionally horrendous, and being so confused. And then going on YouTube and coming across people that said they were transgender and watching their transition and feeling so much love and compassion for them. My phone says it's overheating. So it's because I'm holding it with my hand and my hand is so warm. So, yeah, watching those videos of people labeling themselves like I did as transgender. And I could feel so much love for them because I identified with them so much. And then as they transitioned, I could see they felt so much better about themselves. And I remember when I was younger being told off, don't touch down there. And I remember looking down there and feeling so much fear. And so I identified with all these people and I thought, whoa, maybe that's me. So then I thought, right, that's me. I went to the psychiatrist, the gender psychiatrist, and within about 4 months, I was on testosterone for about 6 months, 4 to 6 months. I was being injected with huge, massive doses of testosterone. I had a hysterectomy. I've said this before in another video, but it needs to come up and it needs to be spoken about. Because the lack of God's love in others and the judgment of others. Because all we wanted for generations and generations and generations and generations is to have liberty and freedom to be us. I am not gay. I'll say it again, and I said it in another video. I am not gay. Gay does not exist. Of course, it exists in reality. All the labels are there, LGBTQ, RSTU. And so we believe it. And do you know what? Our minds, our souls, our spirits are so powerful that when we believe something, it becomes real. But it's not real because with God's love in us, we're not gay. We're just beautiful, loving human beings. We all are beautiful, loving human beings, and we would be magnetized to adventure, to travel, to finding out information about history and creating new technology. Geniuses, artists, actors, actresses, creators. We're all creators. We all have our part to play. And when the person who is born into a spiritual prison wants to break out of that spiritual prison, well, they're called all types of things. Because everything in them, everything in us as a child, confronts everything in them that's not loving. And so when you don't get the right love from your mum and your dad because they're not connected to God's love properly, it causes emotional injuries. And when you're like me, who is both masculine and feminine, this is not me. This is not me. Ruth is absolutely beautiful. Ruth is the most beautiful, beautiful, loving soul. My hair, yeah, I got my hair cut short. I went on and on and on at my mum because I looked at these football players and I was like, I want my hair like that, I want my hair like that. It doesn't matter what my hair is like, but the real Ruth is like a country girl. You know, I love a nice shirt, some jeans and some nice boots, a nice wax jacket, longer hair, and beautifully loving is absolutely magnetized to people that are suffering, because I know that they have not felt love and they're desperate for God's love. And the only way that we can help people like that is to embody God's love within us and to show them, to create an environment. We can't save them, but we can create an environment for them that can show them that this is possible through God's love. And once they feel love from you because you've created that environment for them, or touched them in a certain way, or said something to them, or looked them in the eyes and told them that you love them, and that they will want that love, and eventually they'll be desperate enough to ask God if God is real, and they will feel God's love within them, and they'll know God's love and it work in them, and they will realize that God's love has always been in them. That is our soul. Our soul is God's love. Our spirit can be locked in a spiritual prison. And believe you me, there has been the majority of people have been keeping us all in a spiritual prison because of their own fear and their own bullshit beliefs. That's the truth. And they will not let go of them, even though they can see others around them suffering. They can't think, oh my gosh, maybe everything I've done wasn't the right thing, because if you've got God's love in you, you manifest a child like Jesus Christ. That is the truth. So, yeah, I was on testosterone for 14 months. Went into a rehab, and I told everything to my therapist, everything that I'd done out of anger, everything I'd thought of in my mind, certain thoughts that came in that I was like, what? I was like, what is going on? I didn't leave that rehab with any secret, nothing in my mind that I was ashamed of, or I thought, oh, I'm this person because of, no. By their fruits shall you know them. I am a loving, beautiful soul. And so when I told everything to that therapist, I got a lot of anger and rage out. And then I was treated a certain way in that rehab. And I was very, very, very fearful. I mean, I was this beautiful little soul who thinks they're transgender in a rehab. One bloke in there was so proud and used to talk all the time about having, being in prison and having like snooker balls in his sock and smashing someone over the head with it. And when I went outside, it spit right next to my foot. And I stood up to him. I stood up to that bully. If only I didn't have that fear and I had God's love running through me, and realised God's love running through you gives you no fear. Anyway, I prayed for all of them every single night, and I don't. Look, do you think I want to go round? No, I don't want to go around telling people that. But you know what? It's time. I'm fed up. I don't want people to think I'm a certain way when I'm not. I have prayed for everyone all my life. And you know what? It comes down to praying for yourself, to receive God's love, to have God's love, to access God's love all the time. That is going to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. So yeah, so I was in that rehab, left that rehab. I realized that I was definitely not a man, that I am a woman who embodies, like we all do, but I'm not going to tell you who you are. With God's love in us, we can be woman, but we are completely connected to both masculine and feminine. We can give equal love. There would be no fear. I've had a fear of men all my life, and a fear of women. So I'm not gay. No one is gay. With pure love in us, with just love, we would be purely loving. There would be no jealousy, no possessiveness, no thinking, oh, I want to have sex with you. None of that would exist. I'm telling you, none of that would exist. It would be pure love. It'd be beautiful, exciting, adventurous. The music would be amazing. We would dance, we would sing, we'd know everything about every little creature because we love God's creation. That's what God's love does to you. It makes you hear every bird. It makes you realize why every single person is the way they are. Now, it doesn't mean that you just let them get away with harming other people, especially children. If you know someone's harming a child, then you need to speak up and stand in. And say, hey, I did it the other day. I was in a cafe and a lady was saying to a child, you're silly. You're annoying me. Stop moving around. You're not doing that right. And I said to her, she got up and I said, can I have a word with you, please? She said, what? I said, could you come here, please? I don't want your daughter to hear. And her daughter didn't hear. Well, she may have. I said, the way that you're treating and speaking to your daughter is not loving. Please treat her with love. I can let you know that if you do not treat her with love, she's going to have all manner of emotional injuries and behavioral issues. And she said to me, well, I do love my daughter and you don't know what's going on at home. I said, at this moment, I do not care what's going on at home. I only care about how you treat your daughter. You see, I said what I believed in when I was younger, and I was told that you don't have faith. Oh, I had faith. I just did not have faith in the doctrines in the church that I was born into that were not of God. They are not of God. God's love fills you with so much passion and creativity that you start to live and manifest that. Look at this. You might not be able to see it properly. This is what God's love does. You can't see it because the camera's crap, but God's love creates the most beautiful things. A magical garden with mountains and sky and sun, a beautiful painted drum. A house that I can live in, that's beautiful. And I am on benefits because I've been so emotionally ill. I haven't known how to fit into the world. And I am so grateful for those benefits. This is a council, well, no, it's not a council property, sorry. It belongs, it doesn't, it belongs to the people, but it belongs, they believe, it belongs to, I think, Sanctuary Housing or Brighter Futures. Oh, this is what Ruthie's done. Ruthie's created a little bit of heaven with nothing. That's God's love. Ruthie has had to leave certain people when Ruthie is so attached. People to Ruthie, women to Ruthie have been like a dummy. But do you know what? The dummy goes in and then, blimmin' heck, once I don't receive that love, it's horrendous. So when I say I'm not gay, I mean that all of my feelings and my reactions to those feelings have come from emotional injuries. And so when I felt love from my first girlfriend, it was pure love. It wasn't sexual. It wasn't sexual. It was pure love, and then it became sexual. Because I didn't know. I'd never been able to express any sexual feelings whatsoever. I wasn't even able to dance properly. When I danced, it was, Ruth, don't dance like that. Every part of God's love in me was drawn out of me, so I was desperate and looking for love. Pure love. And pure love can lead to being with somebody, that person God created for you. That pure love, that mutual love would come together and create out of pure love. It would be so beautiful. Because emotional injuries, they don't just make you think you're gay. They make you scared, so frightened of a penis, frightened of men's beards, frightened of it all. And then the lack of love coming from the mother. The mother has lots of God's love in, but they get to a certain point and they're like, no. Like my mum got the man to take over. So then you're desperate for love from a woman, because you have felt that beautiful love from a woman. But then also I felt the love from my dad when I danced on his feet. So you've got that connection as well. I know that when I can imagine loving everybody, regardless, the same, through being connected to God's love, that's when Ruthie would be ready to receive love from a man. Or a woman. And I don't mean sexually, but because we've been taught that walking up to someone when they're suffering and just holding them. I remember in rehab, this lady, I walked into the cafeteria and I felt so depressed and so scared because I looked like this, but even more manly, like boyish, because I was on testosterone. And she just touched my hand. And she said, because at the time I called myself James, she said, "James, everything's going to be okay." And that's all it took. That's all it took. That touch. And being desperate for God's love and asking God, "Are you real?" And feeling the bliss of God's love. That's what it took. It's took 8 years, 9 years from that point to this, today. To not smoke tobacco, to not smoke cannabis. To not want and drink alcohol, and I do not want cannabis. I do not want tobacco. I was going to say, it's not just about not doing them. I don't want him. I don't want them. I'm off all of my prescription tablets. I was on tablets for my nerve damage. I was on tablets to slow my heart rate down. I was on estrogen gel. I'm not on anything. And that's because I have connected to God's love within me, my soul. And I know Jesus Christ touched me. And so I've been searching, knowing that of that love, knowing how that love feels, searching for that love. And once someone receives and feels that love and remembers what love is, they will connect to God's love. So, I am documenting what God's pure love does within inside of somebody and how God's love reveals all truths to you. That's what quantum physics is. Quantum physics proves that we are all connected. All of us. So, anyway, so I came out of rehab, lived in protective housing for about 2 years, then moved in on my own, decorated my whole flat, and then started drinking again. And I drank the cheapest cider for 10 months every day. I'd go to bed about 4 a.m, get up about 1 o'clock, go to the shop, come home, have canned tomatoes on toast. And watch crap TV and go to bed until I was totally suicidal, and then ask for help again. So, yes, and there was a time that I watched pornography. There was a time that I watched men masturbating in public. There was a time that I typed into the computer, women that look younger porn. I am not proud of any of that. I would never, ever, 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 ever watch pornography today. Ever. Never. It's been a long, long time. A long time. Never. Why? Because I've connected to God's love. I was never somebody that wanted to go out and just have sex. There was that in me that wanted to be that in control, command. It's all emotional injuries, because the real pure loving soul of Ruth is beautifully loving, soft, kind, strong, determined, powerful. And I will state the truth, even if my heart is beating and I'm scared to death. And my mum and dad were the initiation for me to realize exactly who I am. And they will realize exactly who they are, and all of us will. It's the best plan that we have all come up with. We, as a collective, were so desperate to connect to God's love that we came up with a plan, and we came here to implement that plan. And that plan is going perfectly. It's perfect. Because Christ's love is perfected. It's perfect. Because Christ was purely connected to God's love, which makes him perfect. And when we encompass God's love and we react out of God's love, we are perfect. This is coming to you from Ruth of Nuneaton and the soul of Mary of Magdala. Thank you for listening.